Welcome to this week's Powerback episode. Listen, if you are a master fixer, meaning you see a problem, you see a situation, someone comes to you, and your first instinct is to be like, but I can do it. I can fix it. I can take on all this shit that doesn't belong to me. Then, my friend, this week's Powerback episode is just for you. Because while there is tremendous value in helping, guiding, and serving, there's also incredible power in harnessing and knowing when it's time to lean in and when it's time to let things be still. Before we dig into that goodness, this is your final call for the Overwhelmed to Focus mindset class that is happening on December 7th. Look, this is the time of year naturally where things are just a little extra chaotic, but do they have to be? Not necessarily. It's a lot of conditioning too to believe that we have to feel that way. Total side note, some stuff we're going to talk about in the class. But if you are wanting to kind of get some focus, some order, some just order of operation of knowing what do I need to do? What do I need to focus on? Where can I really harness and focus my time and my energy over the next couple of weeks, then this 90-minute mindset class is for you. Grab your seat, go to LauraAura.com. There's a banner at the top of the page, and I'll see you in class really soon. All right, let's dig right into this. Okay, we're just keeping it raw here, as if we do it any other way on the Gutsy podcast or in my world. But the thing that I see happening, and I do this myself, so I can speak as a fellow fixer, is there's a problem, there's a challenge. Someone comes to you venting. You are waiting on an answer for something. You're changing something in your world. You are met with some level of discomfort, right? And it's this growing feeling. It kind of starts for me like in the base of my stomach and just like rises up into my chest. And then all of a sudden it's like, I must be the superhero here, as if I am able to fix every single problem that has ever existed. As if I am able to hurry things along, to rush things, to get things done in my own time, or to absorb someone else's challenge and make it now my personal project to fix. I'm going to guess that if you're listening to this episode, you can probably relate to that. The real power back moment in this entire process and episode is that you don't have to fix things in order to be seen, to be valued, to be heard, to be loved, to be accepted. It is not your job to fix everything. Okay, I'm going to tell you that one more time, because it is not your job to fix everything. In fact, when we get into this mindset, like, okay, I see a problem, I see a challenge, I'm waiting on something, I'm getting unsettled, I'm wanting to hurry things along, I'm getting impatient. Ooh, impatience loves to come to the front of the line when this shit's going on. What typically ends up happening then is you shove your fucking unicorn into situations that don't want to be shoved into. And that often, more often than not, to be honest with you, leads to bigger problems. It's overstepping. It's getting involved in things that people didn't want you to be involved in. It's hurrying something along and missing something. It's making an error or making a mistake. It's moving forward before the universe and energy wants you to move forward. It fucks stuff up sometimes. To be honest with you. And then the bigger challenge is then you have to undo the mess that was created by trying to fix something that wasn't yet ready to be fixed. I'll give you a quick example of this. If someone comes into your world and they're venting to you, right? They're sharing a challenge that's going on. They are sharing how they're feeling about something, and you feel that thing rising up inside of you, and you take it upon yourself to say, I can make this person feel less shitty. It is now my sole responsibility to make this problem go away. Now, I also want to say, you're an amazing person, right? Like, of course you want people to feel good and feel happy, but it's when it flips over to becoming your own responsibility. That's where this conversation really kind of comes into play. What could really be happening is they just need you to hear them. They need to vent it out. They need to be seen. They need to be heard. They just want to like, I just need to get this out and I'll be fine, right? I can move on with things. I just trust you and I wanted you to hear me. But being the master saver that you are, you stick your unicorn in and you try to start fixing something. And maybe it's a phone call that you make, or a conversation that you have, or an email that gets sent, or a connection that gets made, or you do something on their behalf and they're like, wow, like, thanks, but that's not really what I wanted. That's not what I needed. And now I have to kind of backtrack. And there's a bit of a bigger mess now. So really just recognizing that fixing things doesn't always equate to the problem going away. Sometimes it throws fuel on the fire. Sometimes it takes things off-roading. And sometimes it makes things muddier. And whether this is through someone else or trying to fix or hurry your own thing, this is true for both cases. So when it comes particularly to other people wanting to fix other people's shit, I want to let's just address that first and foremost, because people pleasing comes into play. You don't want people to be uncomfortable. You care about them. So you don't want them to be in their own discomfort. You want to jump to the finish line and fix it and take it off their plate, right? Got it. However, that's not what they need you to do. So one of the most powerful things that you can do when someone starts to bring a challenge, a problem, a situation, a thinking conversation, a like opinion type of thing, is to simply ask, do you need me to listen to you, or do you need help solving this? And that immediately disarms this concept in your body that's like woven into your DNA to jump in and fix it. Now, I'm not saying that it's not uncomfortable, because you still want them to be comfortable, right? Especially like think about if you have kiddos, right? They're experiencing something at school, or they've got a situation going on with their friends. And like, you don't want to see them hurt. You don't want to see them uncomfortable. You don't want to see them sad or worried about something, but you can't fix it for them. You can guide them. You can hear them. You can honor the situation, but it's not up to you to fix. So when you ask this question, do you need me to hear you, or do you need support? Do you need help figuring this out? That immediately kind of like resets the playing field. So you both know what the expectations are in the situation. They're probably going to be like, wow, I don't know. I hadn't really thought about that. It gives them the opportunity, though, to feel into that, to know what they need from you. And then that gives you the go to know what role you serve in this particular situation. Because if they just need to be heard, look, that immediately they don't want you to fix it for them. They just want to verbalize it. They want to vomit of the mouth, get that shit out of there, and be able to move on, to know that someone else has heard what's going on. And then if they're like, no, I really need help in this situation, what do you recommend? Can you do this? Then it gets to be up to you to decide. Notice I said for you to decide what capacity you have to assist. This doesn't mean that they are passing the entire baton problem over to you when you're running the fucking race for them. This might mean that for the next quarter mile, you're running next to them. It's this conscious awareness around, okay, they need my support. First, let me check in with myself. What is my capacity? Am I emotionally available for this? Do I have the time for this right now? Is there a different resource that I could provide to them? Do you see how this immediately starts to like unweave the threads that are so fucking tight that make you feel like I have to do this for them? It removes that tension, right? It opens things up, and it allows you to guide them, to serve them, to support them in the best way that you can, either in this moment or in this season. So now that we have addressed the other people's stuff, let's shift back into you, my friend. Let's talk about when you're trying to fix your own shit, because it's slightly easier-ish, maybe kind of, depending on the situation, to shift around what you can and cannot do to help someone else. But when it comes to you, and it's either only you, or you're only in your head, or it's just a very different situation, because the accountability comes back to you. And if you're not tapped in, if you don't have awareness, if the emotions are running fucking amok, and then pair that with your tendency to fix, hurry, rush, control things, then my friend, you are probably shoving your unicorn in every fucking hole that is possible. No shame, no blame. We're just calling shit for what it is around here, right? Again, I'm familiar with this because I've done this. So what does this often look like for yourself in situations wanting to fix your own problems or hurry a situation? Well, it could be a lot of different things, right? You could be going through a change and it's uncomfortable. So you want to be able to have more predictability in the situation. It could be that you're waiting on something and that causes some like disruption inside of you. And so you go into this like, ooh, hurry, hustle. If I get myself really active and do a bunch of things, that maybe I personally could hurry this along. Maybe it's a situation where you made an error, there was a mistake and there's conversations happening or that need to be had, and then you start to overcommit, you start to over apologize, you start to like basically give away everything in the kitchen sink. Fixing things is not specific to one type of scenario, it's a tendency, it's a habit, and it's a belief system. The instinct to fix things is nothing more than wanting to move out of your discomfort. And the discomfort could be attached to a good thing that's happening. It could be to a problem that's going on. It could be to an anticipation. It could be to a change. It could be to an evolution. It could be attached to the unknown. Maybe you're in the hallway right now. That is fucking uncomfortable. And so the natural tendency is to say, hey, I don't want to be uncomfortable. So what can I do right now to make this less uncomfortable? What can I do right now to get myself out of this, to move this along faster, to shift the situation, to regain control? See, not jumping in to fix things requires a level of surrendering. This is where you begin to know that it is not up to me to fix in this moment. Yes, take accountability. Yes, do the things that are aligned. I'm not saying don't do anything. I'm just saying that not everything has to be fixed in that moment. And knowing that surrendering, that letting it be, let it be still for more than 30 fucking seconds gives you the opportunity to gain the clarity that you're looking for, to get the information that is needed, to allow the communication to come through the way that it is intended to be received. It comes down to time, to being in your aligned self, in your aligned body, in your aligned mission. Being still doesn't mean do nothing, right? You can still take aligned action. You can still move forward, but it's this very different grounded energy where I'm not like throwing my whole ass at this thing, but instead, what do I need in this moment? What does this situation need of me? And a lot of the times it is just to let it be for a minute. It gives you this really cool opportunity where like you harness your own power and you start to realize just how powerful that really truly is, because you get a chance to go inward, you get to observe, you get to see things from a different perspective, you get to know yourself on a deeper level. And might I also add, you don't add extra chaos into it because you're not throwing your ass at it. This need to fix often comes from the sense of responsibility, from people pleasing. I don't want to let other people down, from control, right? If I control this, then I control this. And conditioning. Maybe it's been your sole responsibility, or maybe many have leaned on you, or it's always come back to you where I have to do this. If I don't do it, nobody else is going to, right? Is that really true? Or could we reframe that? That, yes, I'm an active part of this situation, but I don't have to jump in and fix it for it to become what it could be. Because you don't have to fix things, move things along, hustle things through, navigate, control stuff in order to get the outcome or the result that you're looking for. And a lot of this conversation comes down to timing too, right? We don't want to be in discomfort and you want it done now. Okay, let's address that. I want it done now. Well, you know what? I could not tell you how many things I want done right now in this moment. But I also know that me trying to force shit along right now is one, it's going to muddy it up. Two, it's going to knock me out of my grounded, centered, aligned energy. And it takes the focus off of what I can be doing instead. A lot of these things are out of your hands. If you are showing up, if you have made the aligned decision, if you are taking small action, big action, taking one next step, then things will continue to move. Okay. It's not up to you to always decide, though, when that cycle is completed. And again, that's where that surrendering comes in, that releasing it. Because when you want to fix it and hurry it along, it causes so much fucking havoc in your mind and in your body. You're not yourself. You're not focused. Chances are you're probably a little bit snippy. Maybe your mood is a little all over the place. You can't quite focus on anything. And it honestly tends to make this shit longer. It keeps you in that feeling in the situation longer, because when you get out of the way, when you're still for more than 30 seconds at a time. And when I say be still, I'm talking about let it be. Try 30 minutes of not trying to do something about it. Try an hour of not trying to fix it. Try a day of not jumping in and taking action, and start to harness this beautiful concept that understanding your power, the knowledge, the wisdom, the clarity often comes from leaving it alone, allowing it to steep, right? Think about a good cup of tea. Can you rush along steeping tea leaves? Maybe, I don't know, but it never really tastes quite right, right? You don't get all the flavors, you don't get all the nutrients, you don't get that beautiful caramel color. If you just put a tea bag in a cup of hot water and then immediately take it back out, you're not going to get all the benefits from it. Whereas if you trust the process, you put the tea in there, you set the timer, you do whatever thing that you need to do, you go off and do something else, right? You're not just staring at it. We're not watching fucking paint dry here. But you know that leaving this alone is going to result in something amazing for you. And in the meanwhile, you're doing something else. Maybe you're tidying something up. Maybe you're making a phone call. Maybe you're sending some emails. Maybe you're just sitting and staring off into the abyss because that feels good. But you know that when that timer goes off, you've got an incredible cup of tea waiting for you that has nutrients and color and heat and this feel goodness, not to mention the aroma is just like taking over your space and it's amazing. This is what I'm recommending. This is what I'm talking about when I say be still, to let it be, and trusting that your timer will go off and that you will know when it's time to take action. You will know when it's time to lean back into this. You will know when it's time for this to come to fruition, because you have regrounded, you have recentered, you have taken your power back, and now you can see things more clearly. Now you're taking intentional, aligned action forward. You're moving forward with energy that is grounded and beautiful and focused. You're choosing to be involved in this instead of trying to control it. Do you see the difference? Do you feel that difference? Look, I know that this is not always easy, but feeling like a bag of assholes running around like a chicken with your head cut off while your hair is on fire isn't exactly easy either. So choose the discomfort. Choose which path you're going to take, because continuing to fix things will continue to perpetuate that feeling of chaos, of confusion, of disruption of your life and in your body. Or you can start to introduce a new way for yourself. And at first, you're going to want to lean in, you're going to want to grab, you're going to want to gravitate it. But I promise you, if you start to notice, that's one of your homework assignments today, is just begin to notice when you want to lean in and fix shit. Because if you don't notice, you don't have awareness. If you don't have awareness, nothing's fucking changing. So notice when you go to lean in. Notice when you're like, oh, I need to do this, or I got to send this email right now, or I need to make this phone call, or I have to fix this thing. Because when you choose to notice that, I'm saying choosing because this is conscious awakening shit, my friend. This is how you make change. You have to get aware. Because when you do that, then you can consciously, here present in this moment, pause and say, what do I actually really need to do in this moment? What would be a better way to handle this? What would be the best thing that I can do for this situation? How can I add value to this? How can I reground myself, right? These are just some questions for you to stew on. Come up with whatever feels amazing to you. The goal is to pause and reground. That's it. Pause, reground, and then you get refocused. Then you open up this capacity to receive information. Then you let the universe do its magic on the back end, right? You allow people the time to do what they need to do. You allow the energies to open up. You allow the information to come in. Like it's really actually quite fucking profound when you are willing to step out of the way for a second, knowing that your timer will go off and that something beautiful is on the other side of it. And let's not forget that it reduces your stress. You feel more positive and optimistic about things. You're able to focus on other things. And more often than not, these things come together easily, more clearly, and faster because you're not jumping in front of it. So give it a try. See how it feels. Start to lean into it. Again, you're going to be met with resistance and discomfort, but regardless, you get to choose which discomfort you're going to continue to accept because it will get easier. You'll be able to notice it faster. You'll be able to make the shifts easier. And it just, my gosh, it just fucking changes so much. And I'd love to hear, if you go through this process and you notice a shift in it, message me. I truly love to read your messages and hear how this information is shifting you. So you can message me and connect and follow if you're not already on Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram, finding me at that LauraAura. Last call for next week's mindset class, going from overwhelmed to focus. You can register at LauraAura.com. And as always, until I see you next time, stay gutsy.